The world plays dirty, but most people still show up to the battlefield unarmed. They think honesty protects them. They think skill is enough. They think being good will bring good things in return. It doesn't. For every honest man, there's a liar 2 steps ahead. For every skilled professional, there's a politician talking his way into the top position. For every nice person, there's someone using charm as a weapon and loading up behind the scenes. This is reality. And reality doesn't reward virtue. It rewards strategy. But those who wake up to this, they stop playing defense. They stop waiting around for life to be fair, and something inside them clicks. They become dangerously smart. This transformation doesn't come from motivation, not from quotes or therapy or surface-level advice. It comes when you finally see the world and people for what they truly are. Today, you begin that process. You're about to unlock the first 3 ruthless traits of something called dark intelligence, a mindset forged in betrayal, sharpened by pain, and refined with silence, power, and strategy. This is not for everyone, but if you've ever felt underestimated, outplayed, or ignored, if you've ever watched someone undeserving win and wondered why, if you feel like you were built for more than what the world has offered you so far, then this is for you. You don't need to get angry anymore. You need to get smart, strategically smart. I choose to be strategically intelligent, not emotionally reactive. Let that affirmation become your armor. Now let's begin. Most people overshare because they were trained to think being an open book means they're trustworthy. But in the real world, it makes them predictable. And anything predictable is controllable. Every time you tell someone your real motivation, your full schedule, your worries behind closed doors, you hand them the remote control to your emotions. But this trait, calculated opacity, changes everything. It's about mastering the power of what you do not say. In conversation, don't lie. Just speak selectively. Give them 60%. Let their imagination fill the rest with mystery. Because here's the truth. When people know less, they become more attentive to everything you say. And when they don't understand you completely, they study you. Someone asks, "What are you doing this weekend?" Don't say, "Oh, just watching Netflix, grabbing dinner, maybe staying in." Say, "I've got something important to take care of. We'll see how it unfolds." That's it. No more explanation. Now they wonder, that gap between what they know and what they want to know becomes tension. Tension becomes curiosity. Curiosity builds psychological value, and value builds influence. The most powerful people don't lie. They just stay quiet long enough for others to project assumptions. And once assumptions are in play, you're the one holding the cards. Master this. Speak less, mean more, use silence, let the mystery do the work. People think being real means being the same person with everyone. They call it authenticity. But if you're the same person with your boss, your enemy, your lover, and a stranger, you're not authentic. You're unprepared. Adaptive persona is the art of bending your delivery while keeping your identity intact. You already do this without thinking. You don't talk to your mom the same way you talk to your best friend. And that's not fake. That's intelligent survival. The mistake weak people make is thinking their truth must always be exposed. But here's the reality. You can switch masks without changing faces. You can shift frequencies and still stay honest. People only hear you when you speak their language. You want to influence someone? Start by reflecting them. If they thrive on logic, give them logic. If they're emotional, speak to their feelings. If they seek status, frame things around prestige. If they value peace, deliver calm. That's not manipulation. That's communication intelligence. Water takes the shape of any glass, but water never forgets. It's water. You adapt your persona without losing your core. Before you speak to someone, ask yourself, what does this person care about? How do they see the world? What's their filter? Logic or feelings? Status or peace? Attention or security? Once you know their filter, step into it, and then deliver your truth through their language. That's the highest form of persuasion. What you need most is what owns you. What you can lose can't control you. This doesn't mean become cold. It means stop being a slave to outcomes. True detachment isn't about numbing yourself. It's about finding freedom from neediness, freedom from fear of loss. People are controlled because they're desperate. Desperate to be liked, desperate to keep a lover, desperate to keep a reputation, desperate for a specific result. And desperation attracts manipulation. If someone believes you'll do anything to hold on to something, they own you. But if you can walk away, you own yourself. In a negotiation, person A desperately needs the deal to survive. Person B wants the deal, but has options. Who controls the room? Exactly. Person B, the one with detachment, the one willing to walk away, will always dominate the one who can't. Real detachment says, I care about the outcome, but I'll be okay without it. When others sense that, they stop playing games because they realize you cannot be puppeteered. And when you stop fearing what you might lose, you start building power you cannot lose. You're not the loudest person in the room. You don't need to be. Because real power doesn't scream. It waits. Real power whispers. It watches. It waits for mistakes. Then, it moves once, and everything changes. People think power is about attention, raising your voice, being flashy, showing dominance. But the truth is, the moment you demand control, you've already lost it. The strongest move is often no move at all. Let others fight for the spotlight. Let them overextend. Meanwhile, you're building something they can't even see. This is called silent leverage. Silent leverage is influence without force. It's the subtle tension in the room when you walk in and say nothing, but everyone still feels your presence. It's when people correct their behavior when you are silent, not when you are loud. You get this by becoming valuable in the shadows, by doing what most people won't, and by holding on to a truth most people ignore. Power built quietly lasts longer. You don't chase recognition. You become indispensable. You don't demand loyalty. You earn it through consistency and precision. You don't shout what you will do. You simply do it, clean, fast, and without applause. That's what makes people watch. That's what makes them respect you. In every conversation, resist the urge to fill the silence. Instead, wait. Let the pause stretch. Let them reveal their hand. Most people are addicted to noise. You're addicted to results. Become undeniably useful while everyone else is loud but replaceable. Over weeks, over months, people will start coming to you without knowing why. They'll value your insight more because you never waste words. Because when you speak, it matters. Here's what most people will never understand. Influence is not always seen. In fact, the best kind lives below the surface. Control the quiet part, the unspoken tension in a room, and you control the outcome. Psychological echo is the ability to understand someone so deeply, they feel like you're reading their mind. Most people don't deeply listen. They wait their turn to speak. They talk to prove something. But people who use psychological echo don't talk to impress. They talk to reflect. They listen twice as much. They speak in mirrors, not monologues. You think this person is just a good communicator, but in reality, they're a strategist. They're watching for body language, micro-expressions, tone shifts. They're listening not just to what you say, but to why you're saying it. Every person you meet is silently asking, do you see me? Do you understand me? Do you respect me? When you reflect their internal conflict better than they can express it, they start to trust you. They tell you more. They want to keep you around. They think it's connection. But it's strategy. It's influence, disguised as empathy. Say less. But when you do speak, make it feel like they spoke first. You don't push your view. You reflect theirs and subtly bend it. They feel seen and they follow. That's not luck. That's psychology. Most people want to be understood. But the one who does the understanding owns the conversation. When someone says they feel stuck in life, don't give advice. Reflect carefully. It sounds like you've outgrown something, but aren't sure what's next. Just like that, you're not fixing them, you're leading them. Psychological echo is not about tricks. It's about discipline. You listen with intention. You reflect with precision. You speak carefully, and it lands deeper. And once someone sees you as the person who gets them, they shift, they soften, they follow. Not because you're smarter, but because you became the mirror. If you want real influence, stop yelling, start echoing. You're neither good nor bad. You do what's necessary, because in a broken system, clean hands rarely build real results. This is ambiguous morality. It's the most dangerous and misunderstood trait of dark intelligence. We are told right and wrong are simple. Be good, do good, and life will reward you. But the world isn't a children's book. It's complexity layered on complexity, where intentions clash, motives twist, and outcomes carry weight. Sometimes giving someone a second chance is the kind choice, but the wrong one. Sometimes protecting your team means removing someone early and without apology. Sometimes saying yes looks kind, but leads to chaos. Ambiguous morality means you stop asking, will they think I'm a good person? Instead you ask, what action leads to the best outcome, even if it's uncomfortable? This doesn't mean becoming selfish. It doesn't mean hurting people carelessly. It means swapping emotional comfort for strategic responsibility. We're not here to look good. We're here to do what works. Because sometimes, what works doesn't look noble, but it protects people long term. You make the tough call, knowing someone might not understand and might even hate you for it. But leadership isn't about applause. It's about wisdom, timing, and execution when the stakes are high. You must know your values, set red lines, and move with ruthless clarity. You don't trade your soul, you just stop sacrificing your mission for appearances. Some will misunderstand you. Some will call you cold. That's fine. They don't have to carry the burden of consequences. You do. Let them chase perfection. You'll chase precision. Let them play for approval. You'll play for outcomes. Because in the end, when the dust settles, when people look around for the one who made the hard decision, they'll find you standing exactly where they couldn't. Not because you were the good guy, but because you were the one who understood reality better than anyone else. And you moved anyway. Power lives in the unseen. Everyone watches the obvious, the voices, the leaders, the loudest opinions in the room. But true players, they pay attention to what's not being said. The real game is in the silence, in the delay, in the restraint. This is where invisible control is born. You're not just reacting anymore, you're engineering outcomes. And the next phase of dark intelligence isn't about defending yourself from the world. It's about learning how to walk into any room with subtle control, where you influence decisions without announcing your presence. The people around you talk, respond, argue, react. Meanwhile, you shape the terrain. Controlled exposure is one of the sharpest tools in the arsenal of the strategically intelligent. In a world addicted to expression, the one who reveals less becomes more powerful. The less people know, the more they make assumptions. And assumptions create space. Space for leverage, space for strategy, space for mistake. What's unseen can't be attacked. Controlled exposure isn't hiding, it's curating, it's choosing what to reveal. When, to whom, and why. You drop just enough information to make yourself memorable, but never enough to be predictable. You show pieces of your expertise, but not the full playbook. You hint at your plans, but never hand over the blueprint. And as the world rushes to be understood, you become rare. That rarity becomes value. Now you're the mystery in a world drowning in overexposure. Think of how most people live online. Everything recorded, everything posted, everything explained. There's no suspense, no tension, no control. They want attention now, not realization later. But when you reveal everything, nothing you say matters, because people think they already know you. Controlled exposure reverses that. It keeps you relevant in the shadows, influential without force, respected without begging. Here's something few people realize. The more you say, the less each word means. The more you show, the faster people forget. So when you slow it down, when you reveal strategically, when you know that every piece of information you share is a move, not a confession, now you're playing chess. Imagine you're in a room full of people trying to outshine each other. They're flexing credentials, talking nonstop, trying to validate their worth. You speak once, calmly, directly, cleanly, and the room falls silent for a second longer than usual. That stillness is power, echoing through noise. You don't get that by being seen all the time. You get it by choosing when to be seen and when to disappear. Understand this. Attention without control is a liability, but selective attention, curated and guided, is a weapon. When you control what others know about you, you control how they prepare against you, and when they prepare wrong, you win without lifting a finger. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. This is not about dishonesty, it's about evolution. Circumstances change, so your methods must too. Outcome obsession is what separates emotional players from true tacticians. Most people argue to win. You observe to win. They react for pride. You move for results. They want the upper hand. You want the final outcome. This disconnect between people who argue for ego and people who move for outcomes creates massive separation in life. Because ego craves moments, but strategy builds empires. Being outcome obsessed doesn't mean you're robotic. It means you're clear. You don't measure actions by how good they feel. You measure them by one thing. Did it move me closer or further away from what I truly want? This destroys busy work. This kills emotional distractions. Now you're no longer driven by being right, but by being effective. Someone tries to bait you into a pointless debate. Let them win it. While you stack wins they can't even see. Because clarity over ego is what gets you paid. It's what builds resilience. It's what takes you from mood-based movement to mission-based living. Let people stay addicted to the high of being correct. You'll stay addicted to the ROI of strategy. Being outcome-obsessed forces you to abandon fantasy. It brings you face-to-face with where your actions align, or don't. You see through advice that sounds good, but delivers nothing. You ditch anything that doesn't truly push your mission forward. That includes people, habits, opinions, and uncoded emotional noise. This isn't heartless. It's the only way to operate with internal peace in a world that wants to pull you in 10 directions at once. Because every extra distraction is a delay. And you're not here to wander. You're here to conquer. The enemy of outcome is performance for performance's sake. Saying something just because it's expected. Moving just to be seen. The goal isn't to appear successful. It's to achieve success without needing applause mid-process. That's why people will underestimate you. And that's why they'll fall behind. They burn out chasing attention, while you build momentum in private. They yell in debates, while your silence earns loyalty. They question your low profile, until they end up answering to it. Let people think you're quiet. Let them imagine you've disappeared. Let the surface seem still. While you sharpen your mind like a blade they'll never see coming. They don't have to see your moves, for your moves to matter. They don't have to agree with your methods, for your strategy to work. They don't even have to like you, for you to lead them. Let that sink in. Most people stumble because they want validation while they build. They want friendship while executing decisions that require solitude. They want to feel emotionally safe while taking risks that could shift their entire life. So they delay, they bend, they apologize for being serious, focused, and obsessed. But here's the truth. You can't lead while explaining your every step. You can't command respect from people who are waiting for you to shrink. You have to give up the need to be constantly understood. That's the tax for becoming someone unshakable. You'll lose people who bonded with the weaker version of you, people who admire comfort more than transformation. Let them go. You are evolving into the kind of person who doesn't need to speak to be noticed, into the kind of mind that others feel before they even hear, into the kind of energy that disturbs the insecure because it doesn't beg for approval. This is what outcome obsession will require of you. Quiet progress, ruthless clarity, zero emotional debt, and unwavering attention to mission over mood. Because mission wins, every time. Anything less than that is a distraction dressed up to look like a priority. Be willing to walk alone for a while. Be willing to say no without over-explaining. Be willing to detach from identities you outgrew months ago, but kept wearing to stay polite. Chances are, you're already ahead of most people mentally, but you're still holding back to not make them uncomfortable. Drop that weight. They're not slowing down for you, and they won't carry you when you're tired. So why are you carrying them while you're breaking through? The world wants power wrapped in politeness, but results don't come from being likable. They come from being undeniable. And to be undeniable, you have to become something terrifying to the lazy and forgettable to the noise. You have to disappear into the work until your results speak without raising their voice. But results only listen to obsession. You cannot master anything you negotiate with. You cannot dominate what you keep asking permission to improve. You must commit, deeply, intentionally, aggressively, quietly. And the funny thing is, you don't need to broadcast it. The ones who will feel it already do. They notice the shift in your energy, the drop in your availability, the calm in your voice that wasn't there last year, because you've stopped hustling for attention and started moving like someone who doesn't flinch. You've stopped proving you're good and started becoming truly powerful. And none of that requires volume, only vision. Now understand this, you can't just adopt traits from powerful people without transforming how you think. You need to rewire how you interpret conflict, how you respond to tension, how you design your life. Everything changes when you stop living to react and start living to architect. Powerful people aren't lucky. They're built at 2 a.m. when no one's watching. They're built in silence when they're passed over and doubted. They're built in betrayal, then rebuilt in precision. They're built not by praise, but by consequence. And that can be you. But only if you stop needing to be rescued by people who can't even save themselves. Be done asking others if your intensity is too much. It is. And it's exactly what will move you past everything they're afraid of. You're not here to maintain the illusion of being agreeable. You're here to learn the real game and play it better than anyone expected. So simplify. Silence more people, detach from more outcomes, and multiply your leverage in the background. You don't need to announce your greatness. You just need to become impossible to ignore. That doesn't come from noise. It comes from power earned in silence, sharpened through tension, activated when timing says it's time. Every time you want to react emotionally, pause. Every time you want to impress, redirect. Every time you want to be seen, remember the advantage of being underestimated. Because if they don't see you coming, they can't block your lane. Let them assume. Let them sleep. Let them believe you're still unsure of who you are. Until you quietly step into your next level and there's no seat left at your table. You've just completed the second phase of your transformation. Let this sink in and settle. This is not entertainment. This is mental armor. Now discipline your focus. Sharpen these concepts. Live them until they no longer feel like effort, but instinct. You don't need permission. You're not here to explain. You're here to execute. Stay quiet. Move precisely, and when the time calls, reveal what silence built. Power isn't proof, it's pressure. Real dominance doesn't show itself in how much you say. It shows up in how little you reveal, and how others respond in your presence without even realizing why. It's not about demonstrating control. It's about making people adjust, react, and anticipate your next move, without you speaking a word. Influence without instruction. That's mastery. And if you want to get to that level, where your silence becomes louder than their noise. You need to understand one reality. Most people give away everything. They announce their opinions, broadcast their flaws, confess their weaknesses in hopes of being accepted. But strategic people operate differently. They understand that in war, every piece of information is a weapon. And if you don't control what others know about you, someone else will write your narrative for you. Let them guess. Let them assume. Because when people know everything about you, the game becomes reactionary. But when they don't know your full story, they start making mistakes. They prepare for the version of you that no longer exists. And that gives you a beautiful opening. Controlled exposure isn't deception, it's discipline. You carefully choose which parts of your personality, your power, your plan, you allow others to see. You shift energy without explanation. You build relationships with levels, not instant access. Not everyone earns the same version of you, and the world doesn't need a front row seat to your evolution. You keep your developments protected, your finances disguised, your moves unpredictable. Because the trait that makes kings fall isn't weakness, it's transparency. Ambition exposed too soon is ambition attacked. Confidence expressed too fast becomes a target. And people are trained to destroy what they don't understand. So keep yourself just out of reach. You don't have to hide, but you must edit. Because in a world of easy access, scarcity becomes high status, silence becomes significance, and mystery becomes influence. You don't need them to fully understand you. You need just enough exposure to be perceived, but never enough to be leveraged. And anyone who asks for more than you're willing to give already has a reason they want it. Let them wonder. Let them calculate. Let them miscalculate. While you stay calm, cloaked in intention. While they're guessing, you're growing. While they plan for your last move, you've already shifted the board. This is how the unseen becomes untouchable. It's how quiet minds end up being the ones with all the control. While others trade attention for identity, you're sharpening in the background. You're becoming the version of yourself that people doubt until it's too late to catch up. Because by the time they realize who you are, you're already gone. Not because you disappeared, but because you moved with precision while they were stuck in performance. You're not building to be celebrated. You're building to be unshakable, not loud, not obvious. Unshakable. That's the mindset shift most never make. They chase attention, believing that's power. Until attention turns on them. Until being known becomes their weakness. But you're different now. You don't reveal for recognition. You move in silence, not because you're afraid, but because you've realized a private life is a protected life. A private plan is a powerful plan, and a private mind is a dangerous one. That's the difference between influence and invisibility. Invisibility is absence, but influence built behind the scenes speaks with force when it surfaces. When you walk into a room, you don't explain your rise. You let your presence speak louder than their memories of who you were. Because the new version of you doesn't need permission, it just needs timing. Every person around you who doesn't value boundaries is subconsciously hoping you'll break yours. Most people won't respect limits until you enforce them. And the longer you delay redefining access, the longer you delay your next level. The next level of your success will demand that you move differently, protect differently, communicate differently. People will notice. They'll ask why you're quieter, why you're distant, why you're not sharing every moment like you used to. Let them wonder, because when your strategy is no longer visible, it becomes untouchable. And when it becomes untouchable, you become a problem they can't solve. Most people are loyal until they're not. They're committed until the next opportunity shows up. They respect you until it no longer benefits them. So while the weak build their lives on promises, the strong build theirs on something more reliable. Leverage. Because leverage doesn't ask for loyalty, it commands respect. It's not built on emotion, it's built on position. You don't need to force people to stay. You need to make it harder for them to leave, not through fear, through structure, through value, through presence. You position yourself so their best option is you. Not because you convinced them, because you made staying more beneficial than walking away. This is how long-term influence is really built, not by trust, but by advantage. You align incentives, you control environments, you create intangible pressure through silent power. So they think twice, always. And when someone wrongs you, you don't react. You reposition. You pull back the value that made you necessary. And you watch them feel the shift, because energy withdrawal is more powerful than emotional response. This is what most don't understand about true dominance. It's not about control, it's about positioning. When your presence adds something no one else does, you don't chase people. They gravitate. Because they remember how it felt when you were around, and how it feels now without you. That absence speaks louder than any argument ever could. Silent withdrawal is the loudest form of truth. And once you master this, relationships stop becoming emotional traps and start becoming strategic alliances. Because let's be honest, if your existence brings value, peace, and clarity, why are you the one trying to prove anything? Let them prove they deserve it. Let them earn access. Let them adjust. The days of people pleasing are over. Now you're polarizing, not because you're rude, but because you've stopped apologizing for being powerful. Because here's what they don't teach you. Being neutral keeps you neutralized. When you're always trying to be liked, you start saying yes to things that drain you. You start explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And eventually you become a diluted version, friendly, agreeable, exhausted, and forgettable. But when you step into strategic focus, when your energy, time, and presence become currency, everything changes. Not everyone gets access anymore. Privileges become earned. Conversations have weight. Your time is an investment, not a donation. And people will feel this shift. Some will take it personally. Some will project insecurity. Some will call you too much. But that only confirms your growth. You've stopped being a mirror to their comfort and started becoming a reflection they must rise to meet. That's when the game breaks open, because now you're walking in rooms prepared. No more emotional guessing games. No more competition with chaos. No more shrinking so others feel tall. Now your very presence becomes a filter. You don't need to speak. Your silence sets the standard. They either adjust or exit. You're not here to explain your boundaries. You're here to enforce them once, then move accordingly. People treat you based on what you tolerate, and if you keep letting disrespect slide in exchange for connection. Don't be surprised when people learn to devalue your worth. But here's the good news. Once you raise your internal bar, the external world adapts. Because when you act like your energy is expensive, people start treating it like it is. And when you move with emotional discipline, people know they can't just push you off balance anymore. They realize quickly you're not the same version they could manipulate. You're measured, you're resolved, you're watching, and that changes the game entirely. Not because you fight harder, but because you no longer fight for outcomes that drain you. You redirect that energy back into yourself, into your mind, into your mission, and suddenly, their game collapses without your participation. They lose power because you stopped playing, and that's where control lives. Not in endless reaction, but in selective engagement. You don't need to prove silence is strength. You just need to use it with precision. Watch how they chase your voice when you stop giving it away freely. Watch how they study your eyes when your presence no longer tells every story. Watch how they question themselves when your absence is louder than anyone else's presence. Because now, you've stopped performing. You've adjusted the algorithm of your identity. You're not here to enroll everyone in your value. You're here to master yourself and move accordingly. That's how strategy becomes instinct, and instinct becomes armor. You built this by unlearning what made you weak, by observing patterns instead of fixing people, by letting silence carry your standards, by withdrawing your energy when it's no longer being valued. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to argue anymore. Because the moment you mastered presence without performance, you became untouchable. Everyone you meet is playing a role, a personality designed for attention, a character cultivated for approval, a mask worn so convincingly they've forgotten who they were before it. And the world rewards those who perform well in this false arena. So the quiet ones, the thinkers, the real ones, they get ignored until they stop playing the part and start running the stage. This final evolution of power isn't about pretending anymore. It's about becoming. You've stripped off layers. You've sliced through illusions. You've withdrawn your need to be seen in exchange for the ability to move undetected. Now you're dangerous. Why? Because you've stopped looking at people for who they pretend to be and started seeing them for what they want but won't say. You're not reading words. You're reading needs. You're watching patterns, and you're applying pressure where it hits hardest, silently. The one with no fear of being misunderstood holds the advantage. He watches the entire game without being pulled into emotion or applause. This is not performance anymore. This is control. Final level power comes from integrating everything you've learned, not just thinking about it, but living it. It shows in how little you respond to disrespect, how little you need to explain your plans, how calm you stay when others are spinning, because you've done what few are willing to do. You stopped chasing outcomes and started designing environments. You changed your internal system first: emotions, communication, memory, pattern recognition. Now the room responds to you even when you're silent. This level of discipline feels like detachment to others, but to you, it feels like gravity. People orbit power they don't understand. They chase validation from people who don't need it. And they follow minds that move like maps, not mirrors. You are no longer part of the crowd. You are structure in a world of chaos. Pressure inside calm, cold fire behind still eyes. You're no longer affected by every shift, because you've become the storm no one prepares for. They laugh until you move. They doubt until your silence becomes volume. They underestimate until your strategy reveals that they were 4 moves behind the whole time. This is long game power. You don't make bold proclamations. You don't argue with people committed to losing. You don't waste energy on changing the broken. You build beyond it. And when you're patient, the world forces your enemies to expose themselves, publicly. You don't have to fight them. They'll self-sabotage, chase every distraction, or flex too soon. And you'll do what you always do. Smile, wait, execute. Because final tier intelligence is invisible. A quiet detachment from drama. A complete avoidance of unnecessary friction. A deep understanding of timing, psychology, and presence. Nothing moves you unless you choose to be moved. This is why powerful people seem strange to the emotional world. They live by clarity over chaos, data over drama, strategy over sympathy, direction over distraction. They aren't cold, they're customized. Their energy doesn't drip into leaks. Their speech isn't filler, it's blueprint. Their time isn't spent, it's invested. And that's you now. You no longer explain your values, you embody them. You don't post every step. You move in silence and let data speak for you. In conversation, you choose clarity over compatibility. Let people break contracts with you. Let them remove themselves. Let them underestimate. Because power isn't always gained by domination. Sometimes it's gained by staying clean while others fall apart. That scares them. They're waiting for you to react. Get loud, get petty, get soft. But that version of you is gone. You respond with facts, presence, and consequence. You move without flinching. Control doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering the only thing that never lies: your own response. You're not asking the world to choose you anymore. You're watching to see if it's smart enough to keep up. That is the game now. Not needing to prove, not needing to share the plan, just reading every situation 3 layers deeper than everyone else and executing in silence until the checkmate is done. You don't need motivation anymore. What you need is momentum. and a mind that no longer waits to be told who it is. At this level, intelligence isn't about knowing more. It's about knowing when not to engage. You don't waste time debating opinions with untrained minds. You don't plead for agreement from people who've never earned your attention. You show up, you execute, you disappear, and the world starts talking, because power that moves without asking always leaves an echo. But by the time they hear it, you're already somewhere else, already in the next chapter, already building in silence where their cameras can't follow. See, this level isn't about being faster. It's about being unmoved. They try to provoke you, to pull you off track, to bait you into reaction. It doesn't work. Why? Because when you woke up to how easily people are manipulated, you realized you don't have to play defense anymore. You just have to stop giving them a target. You became the question no one can answer. And then, you learned how to win without announcing your war. There's a moment in every power play where the opponent isn't defeated yet, but they already know it's over. They feel the setup, the positioning, the cold, quiet logic of your moves. That's the feeling you carry into the boardroom, the negotiation, the relationship, the conflict. Not bravado, not noise, just awareness so high they can't keep up. You think 7 moves ahead because you lived 10 versions of yourself backward. They don't see the losses that trained your timing, the betrayals that taught you patience, the failures that shed your ego. You're not dangerous because of your words. You're dangerous because of your memory and how you applied it. You took pain and turned it into precision, disrespect and turned it into discipline, loneliness and turned it into lethal focus. You didn't run from shadow, you confronted it. And now, you carry both light and dark simultaneously. You can be kind, but never soft, forgiving, but not forgetful, patient, but never passive. The darkness you've walked through isn't shame, it's your advantage. Because others are still trying to understand themselves, you're already rewriting outcomes. They want to be liked, you want to be effective, they want to be seen. You only want the result. They announce their goals. You protect yours like classified intel. They get hurt and fall apart. You get hurt and recalibrate. That's what they never prepared for. They expected you to be strong the way they define strength. Loud, emotional, noisy. But you became strong by becoming quiet, grounded, unshakable. You became someone who wins slowly, relentlessly, and with zero need for celebration. You don't need a crowd when you're the architect of your own arena. So now, when you speak, it matters. When you move, things shake. And when you vanish, people notice. Because real transformation doesn't make noise, it makes consequences. They'll feel the change in how you show up, in your tone, in your stillness under pressure, in the way you no longer explain decisions, in the silence that once meant uncertainty, but now means complete control. What they don't realize is this: you've already buried the past version of yourself, the one that doubted, the one that chased approval, the one that feared being misunderstood. That version is gone. What's left? A mind that doesn't flinch, a presence that can't be shaken, and a strategy built on layers no one sees until you let them feel it. Power at this level means you've stopped trying to change people. You just control what you allow near your space. You manage time like a weapon, not a calendar. You observe everything, absorb nothing. And when people talk too much, reveal too much, react too often, you don't argue. You take notes. That's the quiet skill no one respects until it owns the scoreboard. You took your power back the moment you stopped needing to respond. Now, people don't know how to read you. And that's exactly how you want it. Because while they're watching, you're building something they can't name. They see the behavior, but they can't decode the blueprint. They hear your words, but don't grasp what guides them. They see your balance, but never what it took to earn it. And by the time they try to mimic your moves, it's already outdated, because you were never playing their game. You were engineering the board. And the final lesson is simple. When you carry all this, silence, control, strategy, presence, precision, darkness, clarity, detachment, execution. You no longer compete. You shift arenas. You outgrow their pressure. You outperform their noise. You disappear from their standards and reappear at levels they didn't know existed. You don't become untouchable by being perfect. You become untouchable by being committed. Committed to becoming someone they'll never understand. Because you were never designed to play small. You were built to rule a reality that most will spend their lives trying to survive. And now, you do it with silence, strategy, and unstoppable focus. This is dark intelligence, fully activated. You're not just dangerous now, you're prepared.